Who here has a smartphone? We're all thinking it. So, smartphones. I remember. So I remember when I when I was younger. It was in 2010. Just trying to think. Who was born after 2010? Wow, you are younger than my first smartphone. That's weird. So I had a iPhone 3, I think it was, and it was brilliant. I loved it. I was the first one of because I was never into phones. My dad forced me to have a mobile phone. I did not want one. But when I got this smartphone, I loved it. And what I if you talk to Mark Durbs, who some of you guys know, he was here for the party, and he's come and spoken here before. He'll tell you that I had a little catchphrase that I'll just phone you on my iPhone. I used to do that because it was like playing with the kids, and then they started getting smartphones, and it was like, oh, whatever, you know. But I remember the first, as I say, and the first two apps I ever downloaded. So yeah, obviously you get apps on the phone. The first two I downloaded was a fantasy art generator, right? A very basic one because I love fantasy stuff. And oddly enough, it actually led me to start writing my book, which at some point I'll release. Yeah, at some point. And the other one, you can't get it anymore, the app, because I tried downloading it again, and it was a game where you push a mannequin off stuff, and you get more points for how much you hurt him. Yeah, it was. I mean, there's loads of different versions of that. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different, but it was like, what was that? Sorry. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of versions of it, but this one was brilliant. And then they updated it, and like, it was, but yeah, it was trying to figure out the right place. But there was one person in the youth that used to grab my phone and try and beat my score. Oh, and she was like, "Tom, I did it." It's like, so I had to spend ages, obviously. Yeah, during my prayer time, obviously. So there we go. Who's downloaded other apps since they've had their smartphone? You're like, yeah, I know it's a silly question, but sometimes, I can imagine there'll be older people in my family who may not understand the smartphone, and some people just, they're like the vanilla smartphone or whatever. But I reckon the apps on your phone that you downloaded probably says a lot about you. Now, I'm not going to make it into a kind of like a magazine. This app means that you're more sprightly or something like that. I don't mean that. But if we go on to the next one, Tobes. Okay, what do you reckon were the three most downloaded apps in 2022 in the UK? So what do you think's at number one? Yeah, it's TikTok. Yeah, so go stick that one up. So TikTok. What do you think number two was? You've got the answers right in front of you, Toby. So stop it. No, no, no. Oh, sorry. What was that? WhatsApp. I got that right, didn't I? It is WhatsApp. That's number two. Number three. Now this one surprised me a little, but well, it surprised me at first, and I thought about it. I went, no, actually, no. I don't think any of you. No, I don't. No, I don't think anyone's. No, no. Face. No, 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 no. I don't think anyone said it. No, no, no. Right. Go on, go on. It is. It's Be Real. Who's got Be Real? Right. Who's ever right? So is it just the three of you? Right. I appreciate honesty in our youth group. Have any of you Be Real from the toilet? Yeah. What? There's pride. There's actual pride. For those of you that know, Be Real is guys. Correct me if I'm wrong about this. Right. Correct if I'm wrong. But Be Real is it prompts you to take the photo. Yeah. Yep. Right. Or from when you see it, or from the notification? Okay. Right. Okay. So when it comes up, you have your front and your back camera takes at the same time whatever's in front of you, whatever you are. I've seen some people's B reels and they are flipping funny. Right. I've never actually downloaded. So out of those three apps, I have WhatsApp because I refuse to go anywhere near TikTok, and I think I'd be a monster with B reel. I've never had Snapchat either. I just cannot be bothered. Cannot be bothered. Okay. So who has any of these apps? Just, I think it's probably going to be three of you. Who has all three apps on their phone? Well done. You are part of the herd. Well done. Okay. Now this is something that I've tried to fight against a little bit. Okay. What's the next slide there, Tobes? This is a screenshot of my data usage. right? Oh yeah, that's what I call my phone. Okay, so just go to the next press down toes. So 95 pickups on Tuesday. So I looked at Tuesday because that's the amount of time when I looked at it that I picked it up. So yeah, go to the next one. Yes. It means I've picked up. The screen's come alive. Yeah. Okay. So it says 95 there. See, 95 pickups. So I've highlighted the. Yes, if you go into settings, I think, so, and then data usage. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you can see that I was fairly busy around 3 p.m. Are you now looking at your data usage? See what you got. Okay. Go to the next one, Toby. Okay, as you can see, there was lots of WhatsApping. Okay. Okay, guys. Sorry. Right. Guys, can you check your phones in a sec? I think I've started a monster here. Okay. What's the last one, Toby? Okay. Amazon. I look at Amazon a lot. Okay. I might have bought recently a pair of Vans and the Rain Mac. The Rain Mac. The Rain Mac was quite interesting actually because it came in black, but it said that out of the 5 colours available, none of them were black. So I felt very lucky that I got the mysterious 6th colour. So this is actually my data usage. What I'm trying to fight against with my data usage is I get a notification every week to say like how many hours I spent on my phone per day, and I try to get that down. This is what I have done. So what we're doing, so what we're filming today with is my old phone. My old phone has all the social media, because I do a lot of social media for the church and for youth and other bits and pieces. So all of it's on there. The only social media, and it is inverted commas, is Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. That's the only I've got on my current phone. Because of what's gone on with me recently, I need to do things that are more better for the mental health, and actually social media just isn't. I don't look at it and think, oh, I want to be like Justin Bieber. You know, I don't look at the influencers and do that. Well, maybe not Justin Bieber. Does anyone like Justin Bieber anymore? Is he's still cool and hip, right? He's still with it. He's still with it. Anyway, um, so this data, guys, so this data is showing you how often you are on your phone and what you're looking at on your phone. Okay, it's showing you because like one thing that that phones and the digital age want you to do is they want you to spend more time on their thing. Okay, that's what the people are really wanting to do. I watched a documentary on Netflix and it was utterly fascinating. The psychology behind what they're trying to do. People are really trying to get you to pay for stuff. That's all that people want you to do. Um, what's the next slide there, Tobes? Okay, so I was reading through Bible, and this isn't from Deuteronomy. It says, "You saw no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire." So this is kind of God speaking to the children of Israel. They've left Egypt, come out of slavery, and they're at Mount Horeb. And Moses has gone up and had a chat with God. Okay, it says, "Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully, so that you do not become corrupt and make for yourselves an idol, an image of any shape, whether formed like a man or a woman, or like any animal on earth, or any bird that flies in the air, or like any creature that moves along the ground, or any fish in the waters below." That's sweet. "And when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshipping things the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven." Okay, so there's a recent commentary which I found really interesting. So we on, I don't know if those of you here on Sunday looked at the Ten Commandments. I'm going to refer to that a little bit, but one of the commandments is, you shall have no other gods but me. Now, there is a YouTube commentator who made a really interesting point about this, that it sounds like God's being petty, when actually what God is saying is that if you don't worship him, you'll worship the created, you'll worship the banal, the mundane, the ordinary, and that if you don't tell yourself, I need to worship this, you worship that. Okay? But the reason why God says this is quite interesting, because at the end of the chapter, but this is the reason why God says this, is because he is. Next slide. Oh no, sorry. That was no. Might have got that a little bit wrong. Clearly, my notes are not as full as I thought they were. No, this is so Israel made a mistake, didn't they? They went up and went, I reckon, if we throw all the gold in the furnace, out will come a calf, and that will be God. Yeah, okay, right. So this is the God that they thought brought them out of Egypt, that did one to the Pharaoh and the Egyptians and all this kind of stuff and all the plagues and that. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. By the way, just to reiterate, I'm not saying that God says he is a golden calf. I'm saying the complete opposite. I got that wrong. Okay. What's the next one, Toby? Hopefully I've got right. Okay. This is the reason why God says, stop it. This is a very serious talk. Okay. It's because of jealousy. Right? Because God actually refers to himself as a jealous God. Why do you think people get jealous? What? So what? Because of love, yeah. Right? What are the reasons? What are the reasons? So, who's ever been jealous? Yeah. Shall I tell you the worst story about me as a young person who got me a little bit grounded? Now, I didn't get grounded very much because you know me, I'm lush. But a friend of mine who, his family, he was an only child. Now, that's not saying that the only child, they get spoiled, but if anybody knows any only child, you'll probably see that they are a bit. Anyway, so my mate wound me up when I was little. My mum actually will corroborate this. Wound me up so much that I threw a table in my house, right? Because she would not get me a Sega Mega Drive. Back in the 1900s, Jonah, there was a the late 1900s, mind you. Sorry, Sega Mega Drive. Yeah, okay. So a video games console from 1991. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog, king of games. Okay, king of games, way before Halo and Tomb Raider and Roblox. You know, the top three. And there was that. But the thing is, I calmed down and realised I wasn't actually that jealous, and I ended up with a Sega Mega Drive anyway, which was lovely. Well done, my parents. But when you're jealous, okay, it's because I would reason. So yeah, love is involved in that. But when we're jealous, it's from two reasons. One, we think we should have the thing that the other person, we deserve it. What was the other thing? I think maybe it's like just that. It comes from a place of thinking that you deserve what thing. Okay, let's go on to the next one, please, Toby. This is the scripture says. It says, "Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God." So this is actually after what we just read. That he made with you. Do not make for yourselves an idol in the form of anything the Lord your God has forbidden. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Now, I want to propose an idea. God is the only person, being, entity, God, that is allowed to be jealous. I'll tell you why. Because normally when we're jealous, it's because we want something and we feel we deserve it. When we're talking about worship, because this is what we're talking about here, God knows that he deserves it. But the jealousy doesn't actually just come from God going, I'm right and you're wrong, do what I say, right? And he's also not a really bad impression of Jason Statham. He's right. God is absolutely right in these things. Like as it says in the Ten Commandments where it says you shall not covet. One thing that I learned on Sunday that I thought was really interesting, something that Mark Pastor says it comes from a place of taking what the other person has. Yeah. So if you are worshipping something else and not God, if you think that you can worship God and worship something else at the same time, you're missing the point. That doesn't work. Are you all right? Do you need help?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you need help? Or yes, you're all right. Okay, that's fine. Good. Okay. Yeah, it's that envy kind of thing is about taking from someone. So when you're worshipping God, you either worship God or you don't. You can't go, well, I kind of Muslim in the week and Christian on the weekends. It doesn't work. You can't do that. You know, it really doesn't work. Okay. When we talk about God, because we talk about worship a lot. You know, worship is something that I really care about. Worship is worship, giving worth. Okay. He doesn't want our attention taken by anything else. If I'm right, Toby, can you go on to the next slide, please? I hope I'm right about this. I've rewritten that scripture. Now, I've kind of brought it into a modern context. I am not changing the Bible. I'm making us understand that actually there is a context of these things. Let me read it. You saw no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully, so that you do not become corrupt and make for yourselves an idol, an image of any shape, whether formed like a man or a woman, or like any TV show on earth, or any influencer on Instagram, or like any job that you want to do, or how people perceive you. Next slide, Toby. And when you're endlessly doom scrolling on social media, do not be enticed into bowing down to these things and worshipping things the Lord your God has apportioned for all the nations under heaven. Because that's how it would look today. Okay? That people things, the stuff that you want to do, that it can all be worship. It can all be worship. And God doesn't want your focus on other things because he wants it, because he knows what's best for you, and the best for you is to worship him. But I want to kind of get to something. I'm really glad that you picked Good Good Father, because that really ties into this. His love for you is based on his worth, okay? And what I mean by that is that he knows how important he is, and he's chosen to love you because he's chosen to love you. He doesn't look at, like, I don't know, look at Harry and go, I love him because of his face, he's got a nice face. And actually, Ash will say, oh, nice ears, Ash, great. And what are we doing? We've got Jonah's nose, oh, I love him because of that. Right, he doesn't do that. Because actually, that's kind of, there's levels and stuff like that, because he might look at Kieran and go, oh, that's a slightly better nose than Jonah. I love him a little bit more. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. He looks at you and chooses to love you, and the worth was Jesus dying on the cross, isn't it? When you think about it, it's like, are you worth dying for? The answer is yes. That's what your worth is, by the way. Every single person here. I like to think like this. Yes, Jesus did say, I want to make fishers of men. What he didn't mean was people get accidentally in the net. Because that's what happens when you fish. Yeah? You put the net over the side and you hope for the fish to jump in. That's not the point. He looked at the fish and he went, I want a fish that's shaped like Carly, like Kieran, like Jonah, like Harry. You know, that's a weird thing to think of, but I'm not calling you guys fish, okay? Don't get a complex. What's the next slide, Toby? This is the point. The jealousy is for you. It's not just because of God going, I deserve this worship. He's jealous of you worshipping other things. Yes, because it's healthier if you worship God, because you take on the characteristics of the things that you worship. That's an interesting thought in itself, isn't it? Don't let the world take your attention from Jesus. Because it's really easy to do. Really easy to do. Because God is jealous. He's jealous and he just wants your attention. He just wants you to spend time with him. He just wants you to be a worshipper of him because it is good for you and actually he deserves it. If there was a screen somewhere that had a life consumption usage, what would that look like for each of us? Could you look through it and see how much time you spent? Obviously, I'm talking to those of you who have committed your life to Jesus. How much time that you've spent thinking, loving, serving Jesus? What would it look like? Or would it look like mine is 75% worshipping Jesus, 25% on Amazon? Right? That's probably what mine looks like, in all honesty. But it's a challenge, isn't it? He is jealous for you. Do any of you know the song How He Loves? Is anyone familiar with that one? He is jealous for me. I listened to it earlier. I tell you what, right? Theologically, it is very weak, but the imagery is beautiful. He is jealous for me. His love's like a hurricane. I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. All of a sudden, I am unaware of these. What is it? I think it's something like of these sins eclipsed by glory. Afflictions, that's it. These afflictions eclipsed by glory. And I used to know it really well. Yeah, afflictions eclipsed by glory. And I realized just how wonderful you are and how great your affections are for me. And then, oh, how he loves.